don't tell me just you say before. That's why I asked you again. Just answer straight, because in case we use this part.
I feel that it's
Let
wrong.
me ask you again. Why do you feel that the approach of the SDS weatherman is the wrong approach?
I feel that it's wrong because it's pig action, you see. They're doing exactly what the pigs want them to do. They're leading people into a situation where it's an astronomical situation, too great for the people to deal with. It's a situation where you got a bunch of mechanical pigs with 357 Magnums and shotguns and mechanical mace and all that type of thing. And then they're talking about they're going to carry on a revolutionary struggle. That's not revolution, it's insanity, it's madness, it's nostalgia, and it's a massacre. That's what it's potential massacre, that's what it is. And we don't support that because we've said all power to the people. All the power is manifested in the people. We don't have any people whose lives we believe that should be thrown away.
Has the weatherman SDS tried to get you to go on their side? Have you met with them, and what happened?
We met with the weatherman faction of SDS several times. We've had ideological struggles and we have ideological differences. So what we did was we had the other faction of SDS that agreed with the Black Panther Party called for an alternate action, a well-disciplined action not to provoke pigs, an action not to talk about setting up confrontations with the pigs because the people are not ready for confrontation. These confrontations that they have are premature. They're politically premature and they're wrong because they commit people in a situation which they're not anywhere prepared for.
Well, why do you think the weatherman SDS tried to link the Black Panther Party to its movement?
I don't know if it was actually the weathermen of SDS. I'd have to say that it was the establishment press that is nothing but a tool of Warden Nixon's machine. We call him Warden Nixon because the whole world is a penitentiary and he's just a warden of the whole world. And you see, these people are just an arm that he uses for fascist oppression, you know. And I think today, these fascist news media might have did that.
Now, briefly, how would you sum up what the weatherman SDS is trying to do and what you think of what they're trying to do?
I'd say that basically they believe that white people need to learn how to struggle. That they believe that these white workers need to learn how to struggle through confrontations. I'd have to say that basically I believe that this is incorrect. I believe that white workers have been struggling. They're some of the most violent people in the world. I believe that what they need is they need a redirection in their ideology and in their politics. They need to know who to struggle against. The workers need to start to begin to learn that their job is to struggle against the bosses. And until they do this, then struggle is incorrect. It's like no struggle at all. We say that if you don't struggle correctly, you shouldn't struggle. But you should struggle. We said dare to struggle and you dare to win, dare not to struggle, and you don't deserve to win. But we have to struggle properly.
What about the special approach of weatherman, which seems to be violence?
Well, you see, I don't think it's really violence, you know what I mean? I think it's just a lot of folly, a lot of child's play. I think that to have violence, you've got to be able to cope with violence, you know what I mean? And that's what the Black Panther, the Black Panther Party, a lot of people say we're violent. We're a self-defense organization that believes that the people should be educated to what's going on. Yes, we do defend our offices and we do defend our homes. This is a constitutional right everybody has. There's nothing funny about that. The only reason they get mad at the Black Panther Party when they do it is for the simple reason that we're political. And they don't want to admit this. There are a lot of young organizations around, but we're a political organization. We're an organization that understands that politics is nothing but war without bloodshed, and war is nothing but politics with bloodshed. That it's just like you stretch something, and it goes, you can stretch things, they'll go into being another thing. If you stretch politics so long, it'll be war, and that's where we're at.
Well, then why do you feel it's so important for the Black Panther Party to disavow any real link with the weatherman SDS?
I think it's important because there are a lot of people that watch the Black Panther Party for examples. They observe us and participate with us. And if we can be connected up with this, then it would be very unadvantageous to the people and very unadvantageous to the struggle, in that people that claim to be revolutionary would be going down roads that they think might be revolution, but in fact they're not roads to revolution. They'll be going east when their intentions are going west. And also it's important because the Chairman Bobby Seale is in town, and he's being tried by this fascist judge Adolf Hitler Hoffman, you know, and he's being tried without a lawyer. And we've got to bring all of the attention and focus on this trial that we possibly can, so that people can understand that these people are more capable of building gas chambers than Hitler ever was capable of building gas chambers. And we're going to have to get together. We're going to have some anti-gas chamber marches, and some anti-fascism marches, and some anti-Hitler Hoffman marches, and some anti-Mussolini Attorney General Mitchell marches, and some anti-Daley and some anti-Hammerhead marches. These are the things we're going to have to do. The people need to be educated. If they're educated, we can resist and we can stop this fascism.
Okay. All right. Thanks for giving us the second shot. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
It's too hot, Bill. Too hot? Go, Howard.
Fred, the weatherman branch of the SDS seems to be giving the impression that the Black Panther Party is with them.
No, the Black Panther Party is not with weathermen. Let me explain very clearly that we believe that action like that is action of insanity. It's not a revolution even. You see, going out in the streets and getting people shot and killed and maimed, that's insanity. It's chauvinistic and it's custoristic. And when we say custoristic, we mean it's a type of action on the part of a leadership that would lead people into the same thing that Custer led them in. We believe that all action around that weatherman faction is going to turn out to be the little bighorn. And we're not getting involved in any little bighorns in the city of Chicago. The Black Panther Party intends to support anything that is disciplined, anything that does not provoke violence on the part of the pig power structure, because this is what they want to do. They want to kill some people. And these leaders are nothing but leaders who have custoristic tendencies. They will lead people into slaughters, and we think that that's it's criminal to the people. It's a crime against the people.
Cut it for a minute. That's real good. Now I want to put it just one other way. I'm going to ask you, why don't you...
Go.
Fred, why doesn't the Black Panther Party support the tactics of the Weathermen SDS?
We don't support those tactics because they are acts of provocation, and they're acts that the pigs, the policemen in the city enjoy. They're doing just what the police want them to do. Our actions are just the opposite from that. We are educating the people to the wrongs that the pigs commit to the fascists around the country, and I think that's the proper way to do the thing.
Has the Weathermen tried to curry favor with the Black Panthers?
Right, we've had several discussions with the Weathermen, and we've tried to talk them out of a lot of their anarchistic demonstrations that they have planned here. We tell them that we don't believe in demonstration for the sake of demonstration. We believe in demonstration for the sake of education, and we still go on that basic theory. We believe that people need to be educated if we're ever going to defend ourselves against the fascism that's running rampant in the United States of America and all over the world today.
How violent do you think the Weathermen are looking to become?
I don't think it's really a question of violence. I think it's a we call it muddleheadedness. You know what I mean? I think how muddlehead will they become is the question. How masochistic and anarchistic will they become? You know what I mean? How much will they enjoy seeing people slaughtered in the streets before they come around and get them a plan of well-disciplined, well-organized type of education and demonstration where the people can be saved. We say all power to the people, and all power is manifested in the people. We don't have any people to just throw away and throw their lives away. We think that people that throw the people's lives away in these types of counter-revolutionary folly, those people are criminals and they should be judged as such. And these people that commit crimes against the people should try them and indict them and sentence them.
Tell me, Fred, because the Black Panther Party feels this way and because the Panthers have been linked with Weathermen through the Weathermen, have you tried in any way to dissuade the Weathermen to stop them from this kind of tactic?
We've talked to Weathermen time and time again, you know what I mean, and told them that we thought this was wrong. And let me say this, I don't believe these people I think they're some sincere people, but I think they're a little mixed up. That's why I be very careful about the word I use. I try to use words like muddle-headed, you know what I mean, and scatterbrains. That's what they are. They're some young people who really have some revolutionary fervor, but they don't know how to direct that fervor. So what we're going to have to do is try to rechannel that into some type of revolutionary discipline. I think if anybody looks at us, we're an example. We try to set examples for the people. The Black Panther Party is the most disciplined organization in the country, and the pigs still attack the Black Panther Party office. So that shows that we're still doing something to the power structure, but we don't have to do it in a way where we put people's lives on the line. That's not necessary, and we try to tell them that.
Okay, tell me what else you want to get off your chest.
I'd like to, there's one thing that's very important to the people, that they see that so-called trial at the federal building is nothing but what I call a hecatomb. It's a public sacrifice where they're slaughtering the leaders of the people, and the only way we're going to stop that is the people resist that, you know what I mean? Because it's not a question of non-violence or violence, it's a question of resistance to fascism, a non-existence. And this is what we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to go down to the federal building and deal with that judge, we call him Judge Adolf Hitler Hoffman, and deal with the Attorney General Mussolini Mitchell. All these people that have these fascist tendencies, they have this society is more technical than the German society ever was. They are going to be a better and more adequate gas chambers, and we've got to be prepared to deal with that. Education is the only way. We've got to educate the people.
You got anything else you want to say?
No, not particularly.
All right. Look, just want to do some...
Okay. Hello, everyone. I see that there are few lurkers today, so welcome everyone. The third day of February. Hi Brian, welcome. And today we're finishing with our Fred Hampton coverage, if you will, because yesterday I had two more videos planned. I lost one of them. Don't ask me how, because I literally had it in my watch later and it disappeared. But regardless, oh no, I actually no, it's okay. Um, but the second one we will either watch tomorrow or the day after that, because it's more talking about the Black Panthers as a whole. And today I wanted to finish just talking just about Fred Hampton. So yeah. Also, hi FNF, welcome. So yeah. Also, yesterday after the stream, after Subversive History stream, I was watching a couple of videos about Judas and the Black Messiah. If you haven't already watched the movie, I highly recommend it. We will probably watch it tomorrow. So I'm still thinking if tomorrow I will either stream the movie on the Discord or just stream the movie on the Discord, because I the FBI be wild and so yeah. And I got like very emotional because of the same reason of why I get emotional for Stalin. Like these people were trying to make a change, but yeah. I don't know. I will probably stream it around 7 p.m. EST or Peruvian hour, so I'm not sure if Chile is 1 hour behind or ahead. But yeah, either around 7 or 8. So yeah. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? I think that's it. I hope you're all having a good weekend. There have been a lot of protests going on here, and I am happy and excited that they continue to happen, but I also get discouraged and disappointed on seeing a lot of people in social media around my IRL circles basically shitting on them and shitting on the movements that are coming from outside Lima, and it's just, expected, but still leave a bad taste in my mouth. So yeah. Catalepsy. I'm on the move, but listening. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Hi, welcome. But yeah. So today I wanted to watch this. This is not a documentary. Well, it's kind of a documentary, but it basically talks about the life of Fred Hampton and how he died. And after this, I went to watch this video that talks about the the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, but it gives basically the historical context of it. So, yeah. Also, if you were watching the entire, if you managed to catch some of the interview that I just put in the intro, Fred Hampton and the interviewer were talking about the Weatherman and the SDS. And the SDS was a group called the Students for a democratic society. And within that group, there was an underground group called the Weather Underground, or the Weatherman, or the Weathermen, you know. And they were basically like an anarchist group, if you will. And they basically did a couple of, I would say bombings, but they weren't bombings, they were like bombings. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, they like mobilized very adventuristically. Um, so that's what Fred was talking about in the interview about how the Black Panthers are not associated with that group, and that they have different ways of dealing with stuff. So yeah, safe bombings. Yeah. Like they were bombings, but not for the sake of like killing people or anything. There were basically, it was terrorist action, and terrorism. It's weird. Like terrorism is basically the politics of terror and causing fear, and to call attention basically, and that's what anarchists tend to do. I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, but I do question many times like what will be the ultimate purpose, because I do see in some ways how you could apply terrorist tactics into calling the attention of the populace. You could say that arguably MLK applied um, some sort of terrorist tactic when he protested with children and made the children basically be arrested by the police, you know? Um, Obviously, it's not the same thing as a bombing, but, you know, it's still got like spreading terror, making people fear in order to cause a reaction for them to pay attention. So, you know, there is like lots of discussions and arguments to have there, but yeah. Okay. Whew. Were they anarchists in theory or as a derogatory term? Like in theory, because I know like in the 60s there were also a lot of different anarchist groups doing, I wouldn't say, I don't know if they were also doing direct action, but they were definitely like um, calling attention to many things. So yeah, but I'm not like versed in that in that part of history. But yeah, also talking about anarchists. Hi Sean, welcome. They intentionally didn't kill people. Yeah, yeah, because it was just to um, like again like call attention, make people aware or fear, or you know. Yeah. Also shout out to Sean. Follow the Anarchist Laboratory if you haven't. Uh, for a while, you were back, right, Sean? For because even for a while, uh, Brian, Ancom Psychom. He's not Brian. Brian is Trashcan. They are all white. Kevin. I was like, it was a name just as white. Just kidding. Kevin was streaming solo because you weren't able to stream, but now I saw you the last time like the Anarchist Laboratory stream. You were there, so I hope you can both be streaming more often. But yeah, about the Anarchy, it summons me, and if you say landbag in the mirror 3 times, I appear in your bathroom. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm sort of back. Nice. Look, if any, I will summon you in my bathroom if you ever need to escape the U.S. You know. But yeah. Uh. Yeah, it is interesting. And sorry, I did want to mention that because we're talking about bombings as ways to mobilize basically politically. Like I don't know how else to describe that. Um, like I like it's like it makes sense to do safe bombings, right? Because you don't want to actually kill people, but like for example, yeah, agitation. Yes, political agitation. It makes sense. It makes sense to make to do safe bombings, right? Because you don't want to actually kill people. But like for example, the Shining Path here in Peru, they actually bombed like places, and sometimes, most of the time, there were actually people involved, like that got killed and damaged in those bombings, and you know that's when you see through the cracks of the ideology or lack thereof, if you know, of some groups. And yeah, I'm not against the tactic, but it's a lot more difficult to get away. Oh yeah, definitely, right? Like again, this is why if we're going to build communism, we need hackers. I would never encourage anyone to rob a bank, you know, because this is a Christian faith stream where we praise the Lord. We praise the Lord, but like literally. And I would never, you know. But if you happen to have a friend that is a hacker and you manage to, you know, radicalize them, if you know, you know, Stalin used to do some of these things that I'm talking about. If you know, you know. So, you know, you know, you know. But yeah. Also, hi ATS, welcome. Anonymous is really dropping the ball here. Oh my god. Some anarchist groups here use bombings, but I don't know enough to say which are like real. Interesting. Interesting. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ah, sorry. But yeah, I haven't. I guess I haven't really done any like further exploration of terrorism as a political tactic. I do think like having a dialectical analysis of things has helped me truly flesh out my views on certain things, and terrorism is one of them. And like even saying terrorism is such a scary word, but like that is literally the point, you know. Um, so yeah, you know, hashtag not all terrorism, but like some, you know. Okay. So yeah, today I wanted to watch the life of Fred Hampton, because yesterday we talked about his murder, his death, organized by the FBI, and today I wanted to go over, you know, some of the not so horrible stuff. But yeah,
And this is One My Black. Welcome.
I was profoundly disappointed that the colonial pipeline hack wasn't eco activism but script kiddies wanting a payday. Oh my god. I mean, you know, sometimes we'll just take take what we can. Did they still end up stealing from the bourgeoisie? Yes. Is that a small, almost insignificant win? Yes. And we will take it. But that should at least, at the very least, show us that if we have hackers in on our side, everything is possible. You know? So just saying, someday. Someday. But for real, like I feel like people sometimes don't think about like our actual material conditions, being that we're literally in the 21st century and like robbing a bank is not as feasible as it was like literally a century ago. So I'm just thinking about the logistics, which I wish more people actually thought about. And, you know, we will need hackers. Like, there is literally no other way. And I wish I was kidding, but for real though, it is like such a obvious thing. Like we need hackers in our movement, and but yeah, okay. Terrorism as a political concept has been expanded a lot in the U.S. to include non-violent actions. Interesting. Well, I mean, yeah, you could terrorize people without being violent. You know, I think the violent terrorism is going to become necessary eventually, but until then, occupation tactics based off the western wet to wet and encampment are useful and efficient tactics to use without outright declaring war. Fair. I mean, I guess you could count the. I don't know if you have all seen those activists that were throwing soup to the to those paintings in what was the museum? LaRue, not LaRue. Paintings, soup attack. There were like activists throwing the Louvre. Yes, I was like Van Gogh. No, the Louvre. But yeah, like I guess this could count as terrorism because they were like scaring the public, you know, and trying to convey a political message. But you know, like this is like a very low tier in the terrorism scale, you know, but still. So I just want people to be like to be able to picture what terrorism can be in a very safe, non-violent way, you know? So yeah. I don't know if that would carry as much weight in the US. We don't give a shit about our truth. But I guess in Europe it makes sense to do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know. I mean, to be fair, I feel like uh, if people, this is hypothetical in Minecraft, and I would never encourage my viewership to do any of the actions that I'm about to describe. But, you know, if you're playing Minecraft one day in Washington, D.C., and you just happen to have crafted a spray can in Minecraft and you decided to, you know, paint around all the white structures that symbolize democracy, you know, I guess that would be terrorism. I don't know how effective it would be or what would be the purpose of it truly, like for real, but uh, you know, yeah. We're protected, so it still doesn't count at all. I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, people, people don't care. Like, people just see, oh my God, they're going to ruin the painting. Like, the Van Gogh painting, right? Like, in reality, yeah, the paintings have a protection, so it doesn't matter. Uh, but at the end of the day, like, they were still they managed to go viral and convey that the political message that they wanted. You know, like at the end of the day, this was a marketing, a PR campaign, and they succeeded. They went trending on Twitter. You know, but yeah. Is there a stereotypical anti-terrorist law in Peru? Yes. It got to a point where it was literally illegal to talk about politics in universities, which is literally impossible, and that's literally not how education works. Um, well, it wasn't illegal to talk about politics. It was like illegal to show any political imagery in universities. And I remember one time my my friend's group, like we had an assignment about like having to show like icons, like literally like logos basically of our like national logos, and my friends group decided to basically show they showed like the Nazi symbol and the symbol of the shining path, and the teacher was like, I could literally send you to jail right now. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that's not how the law works. But like, yeah, like it is like not kosher to show that shit in universities. But yeah, and my friend was like, okay, next slide, you know. But yeah, the teacher like called their attention, like, oh, but yeah. Also, hi, Squiddy dear, welcome. Latin America, wilding, but not as much as the U.S. Um, and they take regular backups, so like even if you knock it down, it comes back up. Yeah. I would never encourage people to spray paint red handprints on police office doors in churches. Okay, honestly, I feel like if you did that in churches, like, is there a political purpose for this? No, but also based and do it in Minecraft. Do you know what I mean? Like, just to fuck with them. I will admit the super glue not working even slightly was kind of funny. Look, again, the point is not to literally be glued, but rather to show uh show an action being like show an action happening, you know?
Sorry,
Like,
that was a real soap.
oh my god,
opera.
Sam!
Why did I say sorry? Ugh.
Стрим нижнее подчеркивание Sam just subscribed.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you. Thank you for the 16 months. Welcome. I teach also hi critical theory. Welcome. I teach high school and I can teach my classes without talking about politics. Literally, and not even that. Like everything is political, and like it is literally impossible not to talk about politics in one way or another. Like in everything, in literally everything. Like imagine you are with a bro, you know. Oh my god, Fred, I like this chick, and you are like, you are literally sexist, and honestly, true though. Like he's being probably sexist, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to end this. But yeah. Okay, going back to the Black Panther. Like, okay, but like really, why would you like okay, sorry. Okay, again, going back to that conversation, I was thinking about how is the word chick degrading? Because I feel like it is, but it's not necessarily. 'Cause it's not like it doesn't have the same cognitive. It feels like it's not a girl, which is like or like very clearly infantilizing, and it's still not like calling her like a woman, a person. You know, it's like a chick, and it's like, are you like literally calling her a chicken? Like, I don't know. Like we're starting a unit on the Stepford wives, so we're talking about a lot of feminism right now. Ooh, nice. Literally 2 and 3 responses, and I'm already talking about how the U.S. needs to be burned to the ground. Yeah. I mean, classic conversation at parties. My son's nickname as a baby was Cheeky. Yeah, but that's like you're literally his parent, you know? Like, oh my god, cute little, baby animal, whatever, like it's kind of endearing. Uh but like calling a woman a chick is like, I don't know. Like I don't think it's like inherently bad, but there's like something about it. Maybe I'm just like trying to look for it, but I don't know. But yeah. Sounds like my kind of party. La media mina. Oh my god. Okay, the thing is like, okay, mina is just a chilenismo. Oh, but I don't know the context. Because like I once met, sorry, I'm literally going back and forth. I once met a group of Mexicans, and they basically told me that way. I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't know anything about like Latin American speech, but they told me that güey was like impolite, and that kind of blew my mind because I just thought it was like a slang, you know. And when they told me that it was like impolite, I was like, interesting. Oh my god, my mind like blew. I was like, La Rosa de Guadalupe is a lie. But yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about Fred Hampton for real though. But yeah. Like insulting or informal. Informal, but like very informal. Not like you wouldn't say that word. You wouldn't want to say that word in front of a teacher or even your parents. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, not necessarily cursing, but like, kind of. If you know, you know. You know? But yeah. Okay.
Welcome, I'm Country Boy. Welcome, I'm Country Boy, and this is One My Black History. Today's episode is about the life of Fred Hampton. Hampton was a young
Can you hear or
gifted leader with a talent for organizing people who would rise to become chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. Without further ado, welcome, I'm Country Boy, and this is One My Black History. Today's episode is about the life of Fred Hampton. Hampton was a young, gifted leader with a talent for organizing people who would rise to become chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. Without further ado, let's get started. Fred Hampton was born on August 30th, 1948. He was the youngest of three children, and he grew up in Mayfield, Illinois, which is a working-class suburb of Chicago. His parents moved from Louisiana as part of the Great Migration. Very early on, he demonstrated natural leadership abilities, and in the summer of 1967, he would become president of the Youth Council for the local chapter of the NAACP. He helped organize a student boycott of his high school, Provisional East High, when
Okay, what? What do you mean he organized a boycott in high school? Literally trying to name a more iconic thing to do in high school. Like, not even just a boycott happening in your high school, but being the person who organized it. Like,
Council for the local chapter of the NAACP. He helped organize a student boycott of his high school, Provisional East High, when black girls were excluded from becoming homecoming queen. When the black students protested, the white students responded, coming home.
oh, and not anything, like, not any kind of protest, but a feminist protest, like how fucking, like, black feminist protest? Girl. Come on.
Homecoming queen.
Also,
when the black students protest,
I mean, in this photo, he was a fucking child, you know? I mean, he didn't die too many years later, but like, I am 23 and I am pretty different than what I looked like in high school, you know what I mean? But yeah.
the white students responded with violence, beating the black students with bats and blackjacks. Hampton organized a group of black students to help fight back. And in response to the violence, the Maywood police imposed martial law and set up checkpoints around the city's black neighborhoods. Hampton brought in representatives from the national NAACP and helped lead a boycott of Provisional East High, demanding a retraction of martial law. It was during the
Oh my god. The US truly be like in another dimension. Like,
this time in 1968 that Bobby Rush was co-directing a small student nonviolent coordinating committee chapter in Chicago. He had an ongoing relationship with Stokely Carmichael, who was the chairman of the SNCC. As tensions heightened between Stokely and other SNCC members in the spring of 1968, following Martin Luther King's assassination, Stokely would encourage Rush to start his own Black Panther chapter in Chicago. According to Rush, the problem with the SNCC is that they didn't have any specific activities. Stokely arranged
what is the NCCC? Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Interesting. And I'm sure they no longer exist throughout the US. Though, if they exist, like, honestly, props for surviving. Oh no, dissolved in 1976. Got it.
Rush to travel to
Any high schoolers here, I would encourage you to start your student nonviolent coordinating committee, you know. It will give you extra credit in your college essay thingy. Yes. Just didn't quit, yeah. I always hear it being referred to snake phonetically. Interesting.
California to meet with David Hilliard and Bobby Seale of the Black Panther Party. The Panthers were impressed with Bobby Rush's approach, and he began to seek partners to build a Black Panther chapter in Chicago. When Rush heard Fred Hampton speak at the Black Leadership Conference headquarters at Chicago's gang, the Black Keystone Nation, Rush recruited Hampton to join the Black Panthers. Then Rush Hampton and Bob Brown, Rush's co-director of the SNCC, organized what would soon become the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. In Chicago in the late 60s, gangs were an important political force in black neighborhoods. None of those were more important than the Blackstone Rangers. From the start in the early 60s, the Rangers focused on community building in addition to their legal activities. As a result, they composed sort of a parallel government on the south side of Chicago, protecting members of their neighborhoods from other gangs and the police and providing the community with services.
I will see if I can convince my students. Oh my god, I completely forgot. Yes, yes. And the best part is that they will probably need like a teacher to supervise them. Oh my god. Kat, you are literally going to start the revolution in the U.S. No pressure. No pressure. But you will literally be the Lenin of the US.
By the late 60s, they had swallowed up most of the smaller gangs as part of the Peastone Nation and had more than 3,500 members. In December of 1968, having quickly built a powerful...
Wait, what?
By the late 60s, they had swallowed up most of the smaller gangs as part of the Peastone Nation and had more than 3,500 members.
Damn.
In December of 1968, having quickly built a powerful base in Chicago, Fred Hampton entered discussions with Ford, who was the leader of the Blackstone Rangers, about merging the Panthers and the Rangers. The merger promised to boost the Panthers' membership and street presence, and Hampton suggested to Ford that they should join forces, and Ford was interested in this idea of a merger. The FBI saw the potential merger of these two groups
and this merge was depicted in the movie depicts like how he started to make the Rainbow Coalition, but a good chunk of like that series of scenes was him trying to make this relationship happen.
Political threat and sought to foster conflict between...
I don't know if one tiny school would be able to individually make a revolution. I mean, that's the thing. Your school alone won't make the revolution. But like that happening in one school, like that word spreads around, and two things happen. The FBI visits your home, which hopefully it won't, but also we know that we're all already in an FBI or CIA watch list, or other schools start creating those like spaces, those committees, you know, and in a matter of years, like literally in a matter of years, yes,
between those groups. The Chicago FBI felt that spreading false rumors that the black...
Or, you know, at the very least, your school will have a place where people will start to actually be able to learn and radicalize themselves, you know? So, for BLM and abortion stuff, like a school too. I mean, oh my God. Look. Look.
Black Panther Party was...
You only have to be the spark to inspire others. Yeah, literally. Also, hi Shakespeare, welcome. Sorry I didn't greet you earlier. Enough students aren't capitalist enough to have real revolution though. But that's the thing. That's the thing. You first start as a... I mean, but that's the thing. Your school is like woke enough to create that space, and you first attract them with like, yeah, we're feminists and anti-racist, and then whoop Lenin, whoop Mao, whoop the Black Panther Party, and by the end of the school year they're like carrying guns. Look, let me dream, okay? But also, it is possible though.
Disparaging Ford might result in Ford taking active steps to exact some sort of retribution towards the leadership of the Black Panthers. As discussions deteriorated, the Chicago office of the FBI suggested to their headquarters that the time was right to provoke the Rangers to take violent action by sending Ford letters to Jeff Ford. The FBI field office suggested that sending letters to Ford rather than Hampton because Ford was more likely
So,
to
you know,
respond with
that I
violence.
have listened to see. Oh my god.
The FBI's
Also, hi Marcus. Well, are you suggesting to meet people where they are, and bring them to the right answer using things they find important? Yeah, I know, right? Radical, wild. This is capitalist innovation happening right now. This is literally capitalist innovation. The tactic that has been always been used, just me regurgitating it and and speaking it like it's mine. Uh, we are innovating. Yeah. Hi Marcus, welcome.
effort may have helped prevent a merger between the Panthers and the Rangers, but it did not precipitate widespread violence as they had hoped because Fred Hampton and Jeffrey Ford had figured out that the government was attempting to create a deadly conflict between.
This is like the scene in the movie where, like, I might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, in the movie, like, the other party that wasn't the Black Panthers, that were with that were like the green hats, basically captured some of the Black Panthers, and they were like, "What's this letter?" And Fred Hampton is like, "Bruh, this was literally by the FBI. What are you doing? What are you doing?" Like, this is clearly from the FBI, and he was like, "Okay, liberate them." It was wild, but yeah. Students have an outstanding level of class consciousness. They don't even have to be outwardly anti-capitalist to reach the same conclusion through anti-exploitation. Yeah, I mean, honestly, true. Like, um, I remember literally one day I was walking to my university, like literally my first year of university, so literally right out of high school. I was walking to my university thinking, so many people are depressed. Wonder why? I think it's because they work a lot. But like, why do they have to work a lot? To make money. What if they didn't have to work to make money? Maybe they wouldn't have depression. Money, capital. I feel like capitalism is bad. And I just kept walking. Because, like, what was I going to do in that moment, you know? But, like, people can come to these conclusions on their own ways, but they just don't know what else to do with them. And that's why, like, literally 2 years later, I stumble onto Twitch into a person saying, capitalism bad. And I was like, oh my god, yes. And 2 years after that, I'm here. A fucking communist. So yeah, uh, patent that shit and charge a monthly. Oh, never mind, you're already streaming. Look, the monthly is $5 a month. So if you want to subscribe to the revolution, you have to. You have to subscribe. Okay. What's your take on the Chinese spy balloon? I honestly think it was a disgrace that they didn't make it the pride flag. Honestly, like, what was she thinking? It was literally the perfect opportunity to do the meme of like when the Republicans drop bombs, it's just normal bombs, but when the Democrats drop bombs, it's like rainbow bombs. Like China should put like not just the rainbow one, but like the rainbow that includes the black and brown frame lines with the trans triangle and the asexual or in the intersex circle. That should have been like plastered all over the balloon. And the fact that she didn't do that, she didn't personally pasted the flag into the balloon. I'm disappointed. But yeah. What is money anyway? True. Also, hi, Brian. I may not have read Marcus Capital, but I have the marks of capital all over my body. Oh my god, true. That is such a good quote. It was really funny having a student come in for help on a project on Angela Davis and said that all she knew was that communism was bad, and then my coworker saying, "Well, that's not true." Oh my god, base coworker. Also, the fucking savage in the best way possible. Like, communism is actually good to a fucking 15-year-old. Like, deranged behavior in the best way possible. The balloon was a test of clownishness, and the results are through the roof. On like, I still think, um, that not having a rainbow flag in the balloon was a missed opportunity. Also, hi March, welcome. China demonstrating their capability of 18th century technology. True. True. Like, okay, what is wild to me is like, how did that balloon reach the US? For this, I don't even know where did they see the balloon? Balloon, China balloon. Like, what state was it? Was it in the East Coast? Okay, because like for a second I was like, okay, did they see the balloon in California? And no. So let's go to Google Maps. Because like, sometimes US people just don't know what the world is. So like, China is here. The US, this is the East Coast. For a balloon, you said Montana, right, Marcus? Where is Montana? Where is Hannah, Montana? Here. Oh my god. There's like no excuse. Okay, like, China is here. Here's Montana. There are two ways for the balloon to go to the US. Either going all over the entirety of Asia and Europe, and you're telling me none of these countries said anything about this balloon, and somehow the US detected it when it was farther than halfway through the entirety of the country. Or, you know, they launched it and it went over Korea, or maybe the DPRK, maybe over Japan, maybe we don't know. But regardless, it still went through the entirety of Washington State and they didn't fucking detected it. Okay, I'm sorry. It went over Washington State and Idaho. And Idaho. And they didn't detect it. This country is fucking weird. Oh my god. They what were they waiting? They were waiting for the balloon to explode and then be like, "Oh, it was China." Like we used to have a country. Jet stream and prevailing winds would push balloon over the Pacific. Oh my god, that is true. Yes. They needed American public to see how aggressive China is by sending a balloon. Like I for real thought y'all were talking about this balloon. Like a balloon like this. I was literally thinking that China had sent a balloon, an actual balloon that had that had flown from China to the US, and people were screaming about this balloon. And don't tell me that if that was the case, they would still be screaming on top of their lungs for a balloon like this. You know, motherfuckers would be like screaming double as loud if it was a balloon like this and not this balloon. Just saying. Oh, we would have reacted the same way. Yeah. Red balloon with a few yellow stars would have been enough. Girl, it could have been. It literally could have been like a balloon, a white balloon with the word China written in it. China written it in English, not even in Chinese, but in English. And people would have lost their fucking minds. They wanted to wish the US a happy birthday on the 4th of July, but it came too fast. True. It's like their technology was just too good. Their technology was like too good and they miscalculated, from China, written in a balloon and we launched nukes. Oh, oh my god. Like imagine you see a balloon and then all of a sudden a fucking nuke comes flying to the fucking balloon to destroy a balloon like this. Nuclear disaster, yes. But we destroyed the balloon though. We destroyed the balloon and that's what matters. When people get cancer, like mutations probably, like worst in Chernobyl levels of disaster, yes. But the balloon though. But the balloon. Mhm. I hate you, Marcus. Why did you have to make me talk about this? It could have been an ad. The US would have still reacted the same. It literally could have been like the school project of someone in the US, and the government would have still managed a way to blame China for it. Pie toaster in my kitchen. It says made in China on it. Oh my god. Launching a nuke at the balloon is just good national security. Yeah. You know? Also, don't you like okay, am I wrong? Like, don't you currently need like the approval of like some international organization to actually launch a nuke? Or am I just inventing shit. Because, like, aren't there, like, treaties of, like, we oath that we're not going to launch nukes and nuclear weapons? But, like, they would clearly do it regardless. Also, hi Tiniest Boob, welcome. It went over the North Pole, I think. It still went, then it would have still gone through Canada. Like, it would have still gone through Canada. You know, this entire country that is on top of Montana. And even, I mean, you know, it would have gone through Russia, and Russia wouldn't have had a problem with that, right? But it would have still had to go through Canada to reach Montana. You're meaning to tell me that Canada would have not said anything? Uh, gonna ask international org for anything. It does, like, that's the thing. I remembered about US plan to nuke the moon. Of course the US would do that. Of course the US would do that. But yeah, see, I hate you, Marcus, because this is why I don't cover shit like that. It's literally a waste of fucking time. I'm literally talking about important stuff, and you're like, but the balloon though. Okay. Let me go back. I hate you. I hope y'all are having fun. If you want to subscribe and support this content, it's $5 a month. You can also give subs, share with bits. Okay, let's continue.
Between those groups. The Chicago FBI felt that spreading false rumors that the Black Panther Party was disparaging Ford might result in Ford taking active steps to exact some sort of retribution towards the leadership of the Black Panthers. As discussions deteriorated, the Chicago office of the FBI suggested to their headquarters that the time was right to provoke the Rangers to take violent action by sending Ford letters to Jeff Ford. The FBI field office suggested that sending letters to Fort rather than Hampton because Fort was more likely to respond with violence. The FBI,
Like the wise philosopher Hannah
Thank you,
Montana once
ATS.
said, everybody makes mistakes.
Anarchist Tech Support has gifted us up to Marcus 4 left flank Vietes.
Everybody makes mistakes, like Marcus coming to this stream talking about the Chinese balloon, you know. It's important to know that the government that has the most powerful military in the world and the only one that has used nukes also is this ridiculous. Fair. Like, and ironically a good point. But also, we are all aware how fucking ridiculous the government is. You know? We're doing a whole lot of anti-China shit. I'm honestly surprised we didn't sound the alarm first. Saw it, but they're not as reactionary freaks. That is fair. Also, I didn't know you were in Canada, Tiny Boob. Sorry, I just can't let Canada off the hook too easily. Fair. Eastern reactionary, just not as reactionary. I feel like, okay, okay, how fast was that balloon though? Like, how fast was that balloon? Did it like go through Canada in a day? Or like, it took days? Then for how many weeks was that balloon in Canada? Because like, okay, this is next level shit. Okay, you mean to tell me that multiple countries that are allies to the US and the US have multiple satellites all over the world, and not a single one saw the balloon coming to the US. Then why didn't they say anything? I am so confused. What do you mean? I'm so confused. Were they just not saying anything until it reached the US? Were they just waiting to make news about it? Now I'm just confused. What do you mean? It may reduce the odds overall. Interesting. I am trying to combat the maple washing. Oh my god. Maybe we aren't creative enough with this terrorism. Honestly, true. It didn't matter to the news until someone in Montana called the local news station because it's a balloon. I am so confused. Canada probably detected it and were like, yeah, it's a weather balloon. Then saw the US reaction saying, damn, we missed our shot. Also, hi, Arbeline. What? Arbeline, welcome. Maybe since Canada has a few social programs left, they don't have to distract their citizens with ridiculous stuff as much. Probably. I am still trying to process, like, what kind of country is the US? A clown country, honestly, like, that is a fair assessment, but it feels like borderline offensive to clowns. Dipshit clown. It's like, if Elon launches space billboards, I'm building a drone on a rocket to tag that shit. Oh my god. I shouldn't have said that about the clown. Yeah, oh my god. The clown community is going after you now, Mark. I need to stop. But like for real though, I'm like I don't know how the US manages to surprise me every single motherfucking day. Like, how? It is it is honestly like an interesting time to exist. Like, it is very interesting to exist at the same time that the US exists. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are witnessing the US at its peak, you know? Oh no, a balloon! What do you mean? It's a fucking balloon! It's a fucking balloon! Okay. I need a break. I'm going to restart this. And I'm going to be right back.
Welcome, I'm Country Boy, and this is One My Black History. Today's episode is about the life of Fred Hampton. Hampton was a young, gifted leader with a talent for organizing people who would rise to become chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. Without further ado, let's get started. Fred Hampton was born on August 30th, 1948. He was the youngest of 3 children, and he grew up in Mayfield, Illinois, which is a working-class suburb of Chicago. His parents moved from Louisiana as part of the Great Migration. Very early on, he demonstrated natural leadership abilities, and in the summer of 1967, he would become president of the Youth Council for the local chapter of the NAACP. He helped organize a student boycott of his high school provisional East High when black girls were excluded from becoming homecoming queen. When the black students protested, the white students responded with violence, beating the black students with bats and blackjacks. Hampton organized a group of black students to help fight back. And in response to the violence, the Maywood police imposed martial law and set up checkpoints around the city's black neighborhoods. Hampton brought in representatives from the national NAACP and helped lead a boycott of provisional East High, demanding a retraction of martial law. It was during this time in 1968 that Bobby Rush was co-directing a small student nonviolent coordinating committee chapter in Chicago. He had an ongoing relationship with Stokely Carmichael, who was the chairman of the SNCC. As tensions heightened between Stokely and other SNCC members in the spring of 1968, following Martin Luther King's assassination, Stokely would encourage Rush to start his own Black Panther chapter in Chicago. According to Rush, the problem with the SNCC is that they didn't have any specific activities. Stokely arranged for Rush to travel to California to meet with David Hilliard and Bobby Seale of the Black Panther Party. The Panthers were impressed with Bobby Rush's approach, and he began to seek partners to build a Black Panther chapter in Chicago. When Rush heard Fred Hampton speak at the Black Leadership Conference headquarters at Chicago's gang, the Black Keystone Nation, Rush recruited Hampton to join the Black Panthers. Then Rush, Hampton, and Bob Brown, Rush's co-director of the SNCC, organized what would soon become the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. In Chicago in the late 60s, gangs were an important political force in black neighborhoods. None of those were more important than the Blackstone Rangers. From the start in the early 60s, the Rangers focused on community building in addition to their legal activities. As a result, they composed sort of a parallel government on the south side of Chicago, protecting members of their neighborhoods from other gangs and the police and providing the community with services. By the late 60s, they had swallowed up most of the smaller gangs as part of the Keystone Nation and had more than 3,500 members. In December of 1968, having quickly built a powerful base in Chicago, Fred Hampton entered
LFNF. Why? Honestly, I don't expect anything from Paraguay. uh, Illegal? Oh no, don't do an illegalism.
discussion 3,500 members. In December of 1968, having quickly built a powerful base in Chicago, Fred Hampton entered discussions with Fred, who was the leader of the Blackstone Rangers, about merging the Panthers and the Rangers. The merger promised to boost the Panthers' membership and street presence, and Hampton suggested to Ford that they should join forces, and Ford was interested in this idea of a merger. The FBI saw the potential merger of these two groups as a political threat and sought to foster conflict between those groups. The Chicago FBI felt that spreading false rumors that the Black Panther Party was disparaging Ford might result in Ford taking active steps to exact some sort of retribution towards the leadership of the Black Panthers. As discussions deteriorated, the Chicago office of the FBI suggested to their headquarters that the time was right to provoke the Rangers to take violent action by sending Ford letters to Jeff Ford. The FBI field office suggested that sending letters to Ford rather than Hampton because Ford was more likely to respond with violence. The FBI's effort may have helped prevent a merger between the Panthers and the Rangers, but it did not precipitate widespread violence as they had hoped because Fred Hampton and Jeffrey Ford had figured out that the government was attempting to create a deadly conflict between the two groups. In 1969, Fred Hampton attempted to initiate Chicago Panthers' first free food distribution. Hampton imagined himself as a modern Robin Hood and appropriated an ice cream truck in Maywood, passing out more than 400 ice cream bars to the neighborhood children. The Maywood police arrested him on charges of robbery and assault, and in subsequent weeks, the Hampton and the Chicago Panthers organized their free breakfast program for children, which opened in April of 1969. Within 2 weeks, the Panthers had fed more than 1,100 children and drew new community support, making it hard to ignore the political aspect of the Fred Hampton case. During the trial that April, Hampton...
And remember, somehow feeding children was seen as a horrible, like, anti-freedom action coming from the Black Panther Party. They were like destroying the American way of life, destroying society.
Appeared on a local television show publicizing the free breakfast program and appealing for public support of the Black Panthers. On April 9th, 1969, Hampton was convicted of robbery and assault. Hampton was released on $2,000 bail. Hampton planned to appeal his conviction on the grounds that the newspaper articles about the Panthers during the trial prejudiced the jury. Following the ice cream truck trial and the attention that it brought, Hampton called on Chicago Panthers' first press conference, which he challenged the legitimacy of the state, asserting that high morality of the Panthers' revolutionary programs and calling on the people to mobilize to support the Panthers against this repressive government. Hampton argued that the Black Panthers, not the government, acted in the interest of the people and stated that in our case, it should be taken to the people and the people would not tolerate any oppressive system or force that attempts to jail the very people who are attempting to feed hungry children. Hampton announced that Chicago Panthers attempted to establish community patrols of the police, open liberation schools throughout the city, and set up free clinics. The Chicago Panthers sought to mobilize a broad alliance in support of Fred Hampton.
I would like to know what was the state of the medical industrial complex. No, like, what was the state of big pharma during the 60s? Because currently we talk about big pharma and we already know what we're dealing with and how they move, right? But I don't know how developed the industry was in the 60s. So even though it is obvious that creating public clinics in the streets was a direct attack against the bourgeois state, I wonder how threatened the pharmaceutical industry felt back then. What was the degree of threat that the Black Panther Party opening those public clinics demonstrated to Like, what was the threat? What was the degree of the threat? You know. Also, yeah, how dare you give people food that they need? It's anti-American cops, actually. Like, we were reading. Actually, I don't know if it was in what we read or I had read it somewhere else, but there were literally cops that would go into the food into the food kitchens, into the like into the diners where they would do the breakfast programs, and they would literally like question the Panthers on the spot. And like sometimes like the Panthers the Cubs would literally arrest Panthers, or at least that's how allegedly uh Fred Hampton was arrested. They literally arrested him in in the morning while feeding the children, in order basically for the children to see that they were like, it's weird because like I guess in their mind children would see, oh, cops good, so they are arresting this guy, so this guy is supposed to be bad. But like, how can a child think that a person feeding them is bad, you know? So like the cops arresting Fred Hampton in front of them would just make the children go, wow, the cops are bad actually, you know?
The new Chicago Panthers seized the attention of the Black Panthers national leadership. When Chairman Bobby Seale visited Chicago, he joined Hampton and Bobby Rush in a church mobilization and spoke to an audience of blacks of various classes and of activists of different races, explaining the revolutionary cross-race logic of Hampton and the Black Panthers' ideas. On May 26, 1969, Fred Hampton was sentenced to 2 to 5 years in prison for robbery and assault. Early in 1969, the Chicago Panthers were still small and had garnered very little influence and national attention. While Rush and Hampton teamed up in June of 1968, the Panthers' national office did not officially recognize the chapter until October of 1968, and the first Chicago office did not open until November 1st of 1968. However, in the spring of 1969, their membership exploded. They gathered increasing attention from the national office and local blacks and progressive allies. By the end of May 1969, with their community programs, ally politics, the Panthers were building a strong organization within Chicago. Each member was required to read at least a dozen books, 6 by Mao Zedong, 3 by Malcolm X, 1 by Huey Newton, Franz Fanon, and Karl Marx. In turn, each member had to help the other members understand the
I mean, I think everyone should read that. I mean, I wish I knew what texts were. I mean, I think you could look them up, but 6 by Mao, 3 by Malcolm X, 1 by Huey, another from Franz Fagan, and 1 from Marx. I can only hope that it wasn't Capital, and it was probably like, I can only think of Gossip Program right now. I'm pretty sure it was another one, but you know. But that's a good list.
of they were reading, and the reading reflected the Panthers' increased explicit embrace of Marxism and especially Mao Zedong's theory and ideology. By late May, the Chicago chapter was selling almost.
But that's the thing. I wouldn't even say that it was about just reading Mao, but rather that Mao is just a very accessible resource for understanding um, dialectical materialism in general. Thank you, Boop. Um, Africa's gift to America, the black Muslim in America. Oh, is it here? I mean, I don't think this is the list of the books that you had to read that they are mentioning there in the video, but this might have been like a list that they had. You know what I mean? Um, I have. Oh, that is also true. That it might have just changed over time or from another chapter. But yeah. Ooh, Nkrumah, Godwin, The Strange Career of Jim Crow, The Wretched of the Earth. Okay. I can only I can only imagine white people reading this book. Uh, I mean, these are good books regardless, you know. Uh, but yeah, thank you.
Almost 8,000 copies a day of the Black Panther newspaper. And on November 1st, 1968, the Chicago Panthers opened their first office. It represented a formidable force within the community, included a handwritten sign with large text that stated Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, and underneath that sign were huge posters of Panthers' most famous individuals like Huey Newton and
Oh, I really like that he mentioned members were required to help other members to understand the reading. It's in basic but really worth mentioning. Interesting. I mean, that should be the point, right? Like, it shouldn't be reading for like gatekeeping, but rather reading and encourage the people who want to join to get that knowledge, right? And it is funny how the discourse around like the gatekeeping left like goes around and people are truly not able to like think critically about why there should be a level of gatekeeping on the left, but also it shouldn't be about like gatekeeping for the sake of not including people, but rather gatekeeping for the sake of having a safe environment, which is, which should be the most important thing first and foremost. It should be about like we can include people if they are willing to learn, willing to better themselves, willing to dismantle their own preconceived ideas. And it is clearly very dishonest when I see people that want to frame this, the left is too gatekeepy or they gatekeep so much, and it's like, yeah, we don't want bigots and Nazis, you know? I definitely have the discourse in my mind with that comment. Yeah, like, and it is truly frustrating because the gatekeeping discourse is one of the topics that I see a lot of people who call themselves leftist who that they don't want to engage with it in good faith, and they like this is that discourse where I see a lot of leftists fall into these like ideas of the left that the right creates, and it's like you're literally falling for their propaganda about you, allegedly. You know, like
Barbie Seale and Eldridge Cleaver speaking, Malcolm X and Emory Douglas painted a picture of Bobby Hutton, who had been killed in a shootout with police, and Huey Newton on a wicker throne. As the Chicago Panthers grew in number and political strength, the state's efforts to repress them escalated. On June 4th, 1969, the FBI broke down the two steel doors of the Chicago Panthers office and proceeded to sack the office and arrest 8 Chicago Panthers. The FBI agents told the press that they had found several guns and ammunition within the office, but the weapons did not violate any federal regulations. Bobby Rush held a press conference about the legal activities of the FBI, and Rush said that the FBI left the office in complete disarray, creating more than $20,000.
but what about my Second Amendment? I should be able to carry guns. Oh yeah, but when they're talking about black people with guns, oh, you don't care. Undercooked take, current gatekeeping comes from seeing knowledge as a commodity. Seeing knowledge as a commodity. What do you mean? What do you mean by current gatekeeping? From seeing. Are you. No, but are you saying basically that are you saying that we like gatekeeping exists as a way of ex not excluding, but like I don't know how to rephrase. Like I kind of understand it, but not really. Yeah. Depending on what context you're looking at and what the left means, really. Yeah, I'm like, I mean, to be fair, you said undercooked take. But yeah, I feel like you have to be a little more specific of like because I do think it is interesting of like the part of people seeing knowledge as a commodity, and I do think that if people are going to recommend other people, yeah, it like elitism, like there is like something around elitism and that, but like that is why at the very least I feel like if you're going to recommend certain resources to people, you should also be able to give them access to them. Do you know what I mean? Like every time, or at least most times that I recommend books or resources, even when I recommend videos, I either send a link, mention the channel. We also have library here. Assure also has their. Oh, I thought they had the. Assure has their website. On the Discord, there is the resources. So like, I can see how gatekeeping can become elitist. It's weird because like there, I mean, I guess there is some degree of elitism if you want to frame it like that in gatekeeping, but it's not like about elitism. It's about like, you know, trying not to have FBIs within your organization. But if you are going to basically require people to access information, you should be able to give them that access to that information or that information directly. Do you know what I mean? So I think that like problem should be easily solvable, but yeah. Um but yeah, I would like to like when you like develop this argument or idea more to like let us know either in the Discord or next time on stream. But yeah, because like I feel like yeah, but yeah, outside an organization, yeah. But you know, regardless.
In damage. Rush held a press conference about the legal activities of the FBI, and Rush said that the FBI left the office in complete disarray, creating more than $20,000 in damages and confiscating a safe containing $3,000, which the Panthers planned to use to equip a new health clinic that they were hoping to open. Agents even took cereal meant for the free breakfast program. Rush described the raid as part of a concerted national effort by the FBI to crush the Panthers and cited similar raids in other major cities. On the morning of July 4th, 1969, rank-and-file members Larry Robertson and Grady Moore were selling newspapers when they saw two police officers questioning patrons about the theft of produce from a nearby market. According to the Panthers, the police lined up more than a dozen individuals against the wall and began harassing them. The police maintained that they were simply investigating the report of stolen produce when Robertson and Moore approached, asking them what they were doing. The officers said that they told Robertson and Moore to leave, and they became belligerent, calling themselves protectors of the community. The Black Panther newspaper reported that Moore and Robertson were not armed, but the police told the press that Robertson drew a gun and started shooting at them, and Robertson was shot 3 times by the police, and both Robertson and Moore were arrested on attempted murder charges. On July 31st of 1969,
The way now cops have cameras and shit still hasn't changed at all. The way how police will still lie even when there is a recording that clearly shows that they are lying, and there will still be people that will twist the footage, like will twist the description of the footage into a way that somehow fits the police's narrative.
the Chicago police.
But don't worry, there's been a lot of progress. A lot of progress.
Police raided the Black Panther offices for a second time. They arrived at 1:15 in the morning following an afternoon rally outside of the Black Panther offices. 24 police cars shut down the front of the Panther offices, and officers attempted to storm the building. Hampton was in jail on robbery charges, and no other Panther leader was in the office at the time. But 3 rank-and-file members held the police off for 35 minutes until they ran out of ammunition. Eventually, the police shot down the steel door, made their way upstairs, and beat the Panthers with rifle butts, badly injuring the group and arresting them on attempted murder charges. According to the Panthers, the police used gasoline to burn the second floor of the Panther offices, and police claimed that the Panthers fired first, sniping at the police cars, and that the fire was caused by tear gas canisters. By this point, the Panthers and their allies understood that they were under siege and prepared for further raids from the Chicago police.
Oh, also, sorry, this is a side point, but yesterday I was like watching different videos about the Panthers, and I was thinking about how nowadays there are not like, I feel like there are not these kinds of photos. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like there is something very natural about this photo that I don't think in the current age we can capture with our phones. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, sorry.
Rank and file members began cleaning and readying guns at the Chicago office and recording the blood types of members, and others passed out cloths to be used, cover their mouths and faces in the event of a tear gas attack. On the early morning of October 4th, the police raided the Chicago Black Panther offices for a third time. The raid was almost a repeat of the July 31st police raid, where officers riddled the front door and walls with bullets. Police set the office on fire, smashed equipment, destroyed stores of food designated for the free breakfast program, and after the Panthers' resistance subsided, police arrested 6 party members on charges of attempted murder, alleging that they had tried to snipe at police from the headquarters rooftop. Again, the Panthers alleged the police intentionally set the fire, and the National Chief of Staff, David Hilliard, sought to build support for the Panthers' community policing initiative, declaring that the raid provided further proof they needed the community's control of the police. He said that the raids like this one on October 4th in Chicago will continue and escalate unless we move to circulate as soon as possible a petition for community control of the police. With the repeated raids and arrests of the Chicago Panthers, many black organizations lined up to support the Panthers, believing that such repression was a threat to all black people and that resisting the oppression of the Panthers was a matter of life and death. In the fall of 1968, the Chicago FBI.
I mean, it was literally a matter of life or death because they were, feeding children.
Office had first,
and not even just feeding children, but also giving healthcare to people through the clinics. And so, yeah, it couldn't get more literal than a matter of life or death.
Established a counterintelligence program against the Chicago Black Panther Party. The FBI believed that Fred Hampton's leadership and talent for communication made him a major threat among Black Panther leaders. It began keeping close ties on his activities, and investigations have shown that FBI Chief J. Edgar Hoover was determined to prevent the formation of a cohesive black movement in the United States. Hoover believed that the Panthers, the Young Patriots, the Young Lords, and similar radical organizations that Hampton had forged in Chicago were stepping stones to the rise of a revolution that could cause radical change in the United States. Agents began closely monitoring the Panthers via wireless wiretaps of their offices and other means, and placed Hampton on the Bureau's agitator index as a key militant leader. The Special Racial Matters Squad, organized to spearhead actions against the Chicago Panthers, and Roy Mitchell, the special agent for the squad, was the first person to approach William O'Neill while he was a prisoner at the Cook County Jail and recruited him to infiltrate the Panthers and provide information to the FBI. When the Chicago Panthers offices opened, O'Neill was already on the FBI's payroll and went to the office to join the Black Panther Party, seemingly as an eager recruit. O'Neill soon was appointed Chief of Security for the Chicago Black Panthers. The Chicago FBI worked very closely with local law enforcement, mostly through the offices of Edward V. Hanrama, who worked for the Cook County State's Attorney in November of 1968. Hanramer created the Special Prosecutions Unit, and starting in April of 1969, FBI agent Roy Mitchell worked closely with the state's attorney to target the Black Panthers. In June of 1969, the FBI began coordinating raids of the Chicago Black Panther offices, and a special squad of 9 Chicago police officers was assigned to report directly with the Special Prosecutions Unit, which in turn worked with the FBI's Racial Matters Squad. On the night of November 13th, FBI agent Roy Mitchell met with informant.
So that's why cops go after things like drugs. They want to go after means of wealth accumulation for independence. Yes, and like the worst part of drugs is that most of the times, it's the own FBI or are the own cops that literally implant the drugs in these organizations, in the case of organizations, or even in certain people, right? And like, it's like people say things have gotten better, and as much as I want to say that, I don't want to say that they haven't gotten better. The reality is that the bourgeois state has just managed to find new ways, more creative ways, more innovative ways under capitalism to basically keep the black population subjugated. And it's like, yeah, sure, they are not slaves anymore, but they are being sent to jail like in massive numbers. You know what I mean? They're still relegated to certain areas, redlining, and their education is in the education that is being provided to them is not the same as the education that is being provided to white people. And even when there are better education options, those better education options, charter schools, are still part of a bigger capitalist industry structure that ultimately just that ultimately still perpetuates the white supremacy in one way or another. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, again, it's not worse, and I don't want to say that it hasn't gotten better, but it's still fucked up in a different way, because at least back then, like, the racism was overt, like they knew what they were going to get, whereas now it's that, like, that racism happens through an structural level, through institutions in a structural level, where some people are made to believe that they will have the same opportunities, when in reality everything around them is rigged against them, and it's just giving them that sense of, oh yeah, it's going to be fine just for them to end up being killed by the police, not being able to be accepted by society in one way or another, or still being looked down upon, etc., etc. And it's it is basically not physical torture, but rather now just psychological, mental, and emotional torture. You know what I mean? And it's not like, and it's almost not about whether it's better or worse, but it's just about how it's just a different type of abuse and exploitation. So, you know, yeah. Yeah, there's a reason Chappelle pre-tariff would joke about the cops sprinkling a little crack on them. You know, the racism is also pretty overt today, but we're gaslit about it constantly. I mean, that is another layer of it, right? Like it's like I feel pressured to not say, oh, it's gotten worse or it's just as bad, to like I don't even know why. I feel like I have to keep the liberals happy. I don't know why. But like that is the reality, right? Like there are people who are just as racist as the fucking slave owners were. Like there are still a lot of white people in the deep south, or not even just in the deep south, like literally all over the US, like even in progressive California, that are still fucking saying the N-word probably, that they are willing to say the N-word to the faces of black people. Like also, hi Sinchan, welcome. uh and just because people sometimes want to keep appearances more doesn't mean that they still don't hold the same horrifically racist ideologies, or ideas, or so yeah. I think more people who are aware of it, especially white people, although typically not as much as they should be, but it's still really bad. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like, are you going to shoot me like on my face or behind my back? Do you know what I mean? Like, and like, is it worse to be shot behind your back? Sure, but at the end of the day, you are still being killed. Like, gotta love capitalism. Also, I hope you're doing well, Cinema Challenge.
William O'Neill, and he helped map an Matter Squad. On the night of
Also, by the way, tomorrow we're going to be watching Judas and the Black Messiah, so if you want to join the Discord, I highly recommend it.
November 13th, FBI agent Roy Mitchell met with informant William O'Neill, and he helped map an exact layout of Fred Hampton's apartment, including the specific location of his bed and his nightstand. He asked O'Neill to keep tabs on who was coming and going from the apartment and help determine what weapons were being kept there. With this information, a raiding party of 14 officers arrived at Fred Hampton's apartment at 4:30 in the morning on December 4th to execute a search warrant for illegal weapons. The assault was quick and decisive. Within 15 minutes, Fred Hampton was dead, shot twice in the head while he laid sleeping in his bed. Pestoria, Illinois Panther leader Mark Clark was in Chicago attending a statewide meeting of Panther leaders, and he was also killed.
Yeah, that is something that the video that we watched yesterday commented on, how these police officers were smiling with smirks in their faces, and it is truly just disgusting, deranged behavior, you know? And the worst part is that this guy reminds me of trigger warning, murder name. Uh, this guy reminds me of Kyle Rittenhouse. Like a combination of Kyle Rittenhouse and Elon Musk. So yeah. And yes, this motherfucker is straight up laughing almost. I would never do anything illegal, chat. I would never promote any kind of violent behavior. But if I were to ever meet any of these four people, it would be the first and the last time that I see them.
Seven other
This is a Christian stream. We praise the Lord. This Lord. Thank you. Bye.
The members in the apartment were arrested on charges of attempted murder, aggravated battery, and unlawful use of weapons. Edward Hanrama told the police that the Panthers fired
True. Truth. Critical A theory.
first and continued to shoot repeatedly despite warnings from the police.
My fam lives in Chicago, and I didn't hear about this my whole life until I started learning about socialism. Wow. I mean, like, also unsurprising, it's just the US, you know, and heavy propaganda, but at the same time, like, I see Chicago as this city with such rich revolutionary history, and like understanding that so much history is literally just hidden away from people their entire lives. Wild. Like, are there things that I don't know about my own country or city? Sure. But most of the things that I don't know is because I wasn't paying attention in school. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I will learn shit about the history of Peru, for example, and then I'm like, okay, they taught me this in school, but I just wasn't paying attention. But like for example, in the US, it's like you could be paying attention about everything that they taught you in school, and there were still like just teaching you like 1%. Do you know what I mean? Like I am fairly like sure that they taught me like a good 60 to 70% of the important history of Peru, you know? Um, but like seeing like all the straight up lies that US people are taught in school is wild. uh, there's so much I didn't know about basic stuff that I didn't learn about until after my 30s. Wow. Wait, you didn't learn about the Black Panthers? I don't know, maybe it's because I live in a black neighborhood, but like I see people even just wearing the symbolism around the city in New York City was still interesting. I hate how effectively they kept it away from me. Cause like for example, um Like in my school, they didn't teach me. No, I lie. It's like I wasn't going to say they didn't teach me about Shining Path, but they did. Again, I just wasn't paying attention. But I remember them literally telling us like that there was a communist party and that then the communist party divided into the communist party and the Shining Path, and like that is like basic communist Peruvian history, for example, and I was taught that in school. Do you know what I mean? Like yeah, I forgot, I didn't pay attention, and then I was reminded like last year. Do you know what I mean? But I cannot say that I wasn't taught certain things in school, but in the US it's like wait, like the fact that people think that Abraham Lincoln had like wooden teeth. Do you know what I mean? Like no, they weren't wooden teeth. They were teeth from slaves. George Washington. Do you think I care? Like, okay, to be fair, literally, what's the difference? Sorry, George Washington. But like, like, why? Uh, I didn't pay attention in school. I hated school, but now I see that's a good thing because that means I have less to unlearn before I can learn the actual truth. Fair. Also, I did learn about the Panthers in school. Interesting. Definitely not in our school. I've run into intellectuals and academics who didn't know what the Ludlow massacre was. Interesting. I don't know what it was, but also I'm not United Statesian, so there isn't really a reason why I should know what it is. But was a mass killing perpetrated by anti-striker militia during the Colorado Caulfield War. Interesting. I'm still not really sure what it is because I have no idea what the Colorado Caulfield War is. But I get your point. I still wanted to know what it was. We're good guys in our school. What the fuck? Here we're just taught a couple of struggles as the context for elections. Interesting. I mean, wait, FLFNF, were you taught about Allende? Or was that like skipped over? Because like, I don't know, I feel like at least in Peru, we're like so numb, numbed out of of politics that they teach us very straightforward what happened, like very sprinkled. Like sometimes we just fast forward some things, but we're still like aware of what happened. And so, like for example, when they talk about the shining path here, like it is literally impossible not to talk about the shining path in at least in the origins and what they did in the 90s, because like there were like there was a president and then it was coup, there was a military president and then that guy was couped by a socialist president, and then the socialist president who did the first or second agrarian revolution or tried to, you know, uh, then he was couped by the first guy who was couped. And while all of this was happening, the Communist Party had the whole division, and the Shining Path started to do its own shit, like um, throughout Peru. And so it's like everything's so correlated that they cannot not mention it, you know? But at the same time, like they mention it without like explaining ideology, so it's not like we are going to get radicalized at that moment. It's like, oh yeah, communism bad, military bad, government bad. So we're just, oh yeah, whatever, communism, you know? Like we don't know what communism is, but it's like, oh yeah, you know? So yeah. We're taught, but we aren't taught like the specifics of the coalition. There's like very basic stuff and a couple of measures that are either demonized as populist or whitewashed, depending on the teacher. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. I'm thinking about how my history teachers were so fucking boring. Like I hated them. I didn't hate them. I hated history class and that they didn't make it interesting. I'm German, but I was surprised when I learned about the Spanish-American War during a year in the USA. It kind of seems important. Interesting. I know, right? History is so interesting. It is. And like I was like last year I literally went over some of the information sheets that I still have from history class, and one of them literally had like two entire pages talking about Marxism, Leninism. I literally saw and read them, and I was like, this is literally the first time I'm seeing this. Like, I've had those papers for 6, 5, 6, 7 years. Never in my life had I heard like literally the phrase Marxism Leninism up until 2020, and I was like, I could have become a Marxist so like so much like way earlier. Way earlier. But history was boring, so I never learned about it. And the worst part was sometimes my teacher would just say shit, assuming we all knew what she was talking about, and I was like, "Oh my god, so true, teacher! Oh my god, so true! Yeah, Stalin, yeah, so true." And and in my mind, I literally don't understand anything. uh, I hated school. I remember being really excited though because I had heard about it a lot and people didn't like talking about it, so it was a fun taboo. Interesting. I didn't know about Marxism in school until college. Interesting, but yeah, like I remember my last final exam was my history exam. I finished the test and started crying of happiness had that I would never have to learn or engage with history ever again in my life. I was literally crying of happiness. Fast forward a couple of years later, I become a fucking communist and start liking history. You know, but that's life. Okay, let's continue this.
In the head with
Discussing.
7 other and all.
Also, sorry, I would scream disgusting, but now it's kind of late. And last time My neighbors were complaining, so I won't scream as I would normally scream. I was ripe for the picking to learn about Marxism, communism, etc. Like I felt like there should be more than Bernie and Hassan. True, you know. And as I have said, and will always continue saying, I think Hassan is a perfect like beginning of a pipeline. But yeah, let there be said. Thank you.
Lawful use of weapons. Edward Hanrama told the police,
And this is why I need you all to still make me Hassan's boyfriend so I can convert all his viewers. Thank you. Obviously, I clearly want to be with Hassan just to further the political movement and not just because he's hot, you know? I would never be distracted by such bourgeois decadence as appearances. So it is an imperative revolutionary goal for me to be with Hassan.
the Panthers fired first.
They're really so fun to watch. I know, right? I might be in a stream with Hassan and me being like, "You're so white," like randomly, and his stream like losing it, like, he's Turkish," and I'm like, "Shut up." Like, I mind me calling Hassan white, he literally agreeing with me, and his chat still being like, actually he's Turkish." People.
First and continued to shoot repeatedly. Edward Hanrama told the police the Panthers fired first and continued to shoot repeatedly despite warnings from the police that the police were at the door. The immediate and violent criminal reaction of the occupants in the shooting at the announcement of police officers emphasized
Yeah, sacrificing so much for the movement. Like, look at this man. Oh, so horrible. Oh, look at me. I'm so sad to have to be seeing this person. Oh, why do I have to handle, tolerate? Oh, look at me suffering. Oh, no. Look at what I would be sacrificing for you, Chad. I literally cannot keep a straight face. Okay. Let's continue.
emphasizing the extreme viciousness of the Black Panther Party. So does their refusal to cease firing at police officers when urged to do so several times. Panther survivors claim that the officers never knocked and came in shooting, and the Chicago FBI viewed the raid as a success due to the information of informants.
You know what? Okay, I don't know if they're going to actually
William O'Neill.
describe what happened, but what happened was that the police. So, like, there was someone guarding the door, and the panther guarding the door, listened to the police coming, and so he stood behind the door. And as soon as the police started shooting, the panther who was behind the door tried to shoot, but he was already dead by the time that he grabbed his gun. And so, yeah, the police clearly didn't knock the door. Yeah. Fun. That we love the US.
There was an immediate outpouring of support for Hampton, Clark, and the Black Panther Party. Many members of the community's groups had called for an independent investigation of the incident, and Bob Rush, working with Fred Hampton's mother and father, arranged for an independent autopsy of Hampton. 3 doctors found that Hampton had been killed by bullets shot from an angle slightly above and behind his head as he was lying down. There were no powder burns on his hand, contradicting police claims that Hampton had fired at them. The Panthers used this public attention to organize support for their popular initiatives.
This is why I don't have that emote, critical race theory. That is cursed fucking shit. But yeah.
Offering tours of the apartment where Fred Hampton and Mark Clark had been murdered. In the following weeks, thousands of people, many journalists, flocked to the apartment to mourn the death and consider the evidence for themselves. Panther tours showed the unscathed walls where police had entered and where they reportedly stood during the raid. Then there were clusters of bullet holes and large pools of blood where the Panthers had been shot. Tours would continue until December 17, 1969, when the Cook County authorities halted them by sealing off the apartment. The National Black Panther Party understood and sought to portray the killing of Hampton and Clark as political assassinations, as part of a national government conspiracy to repress the Panthers. The Panther Chief of Staff, David Hilliard, declared that the organized attempt to destroy the Black Panther Party has been brought to the attention of the American people and the atrociousness of the American government. In terms of its subjects, people are moving for their freedom, and the very fact that they attacked us openly shows that they are brutal people and they are barbarous criminal elements against society. Even people who didn't agree with the revolutionary politics or ideas of the Panthers were concerned that the killing of Hampton and Clark as part of a pattern of government repression that posed a broader threat to freedom in America. Many mainstream political organizations, including the NAACP, CORE, the American Jewish Committee, the Mayor's Office in Maywood, the Chicago ACLU, and the United Auto Workers, called for independent investigations of the assassinations. The director of the Chicago Urban League would state that whatever the Panthers believe in, they shouldn't be shot like dogs in the street.
And this is what Hampton managed to accomplish in his community. Like, all of these organizations weren't asking for an independent investigation just for political gain or because they wanted to spotlight. They were there because they knew Fred Hampton, because they knew the Black Panthers, because they knew the work that they were doing, and they were aware that they were assets, they were icons of their community, feeding fucking children, giving healthcare to their community, teaching children who would otherwise not receive a good education, or any for that matter, at the time. Like, there's a saying, there's a quote that says, a revolution starts with 3 people in a room, and it's like it goes back to like how the Russian Revolution started, but the Black Panthers literally started with 2 people in a room. You know what I mean? Like Huey Newton and what was the other guy? And Bobby Seale. And then it expand like within. We're going to watch this video in a second about how the Black Panther Party started, but like literally within 2 years, already California, New York, and Illinois. You know, like no, don't tell me that. I was like, I wonder why people don't talk about Bobby Seale. Now I know. Look, we're not going to talk about that right now. We see what happens. And you know what's the worst part of someone selling out? I cannot even blame them. They were like, these people sell out not because they want money, but because they don't want to die. And it's like, can I fucking blame you for not wanting to die? Like, literally every now and then, I think about like, wonder why there are no more organizations in the US. And then I remember, oh yeah, the FBI fucking kills you. And I'm like, you know what? Kind of fair if you don't want to die, you know? So yeah. But at the same time, I mean, this is literally why Fred Hampton says, like, you live for the people. You live for the people because you love the people. And he fucking did, you know? And, like, revolutionary action is a fucking commitment that not many are willing to make. But it is a commitment that it is necessary to make to actually be able to make change happen, you know? Like, fucking Castro was literally tried. The CIA literally tried to assassinate Castro 600 fucking times. Granted, he was in another country, you know, so being in the US, I cannot even fathom how fucking scary that would be, you know? But at the same time, like, 600 fucking times. Hello? Not to even mention, that's where the US is spending their money. But healthcare, too expensive. Too expensive. $85 billion to Ukraine. Or is it million? Honestly, I don't fucking care. $1 to Ukraine. $2 for Ukraine. But $1 for healthcare. Oh, at what cost? What about the taxes? Fucking bullshit. Every person I hear say that says a different number. I'm pretty sure it was 600 because I have already heard that number being said in 3 different spaces by 3 different people. So I'm going to carry with 600 until someone very boldly corrects me to the point where I'm like, you know what? You're right. You know? For me, you know, trying to kill Castro more than 3 times is like impressive enough. So I honestly don't care, but like, yeah. I'll go by the highest number I've heard, and that is 6 something. Yeah. It's the title of a book, and I have to look it up every time. Oh, interesting, interesting. But yeah. Also, thank you for the follow, Socks and Buskin.
Tuesday, December 9th, 1969, Fred Hampton's parents, working with the Black Panthers and the SCL.
Alright, I just realized what the photo in the video is. And this is what I hate, and this is why I hate the US, you know?
LC
638 Ways to Kill Castro. Interesting. That is a hell of a title for a book.
held a memorial service for Fred Hampton. About 5,000 people jammed into a church in Maywood and crowded the outside loudspeakers. Reverend Ralph Abernathy gave the main eulogy, declaring that the United States is successful in crushing the Panthers. It won't be long for they come for the SELC, the Urban League, and what other organization trying to make things better. Bobby Rush asked for the mourners to challenge their sorrow into an act of support for the struggle. We mourn today, but we should be understood that Fred, that his life was not given in vain, and there won't be any mourning tomorrow. Then all the sorrow would be turned into action. Following the memorial service for Fred Hampton, Hampton's parents sent his body home to be buried in Haynesville, Louisiana, where they had been born. On December 11, 1969, Edward V. Hanramer delivered to the Chicago Tribune an exclusive police photograph of Hampton's apartment, claiming that it proved that the Panthers had initiated the gun battle and had shown bullet holes where the Panthers had fired at police. But after further investigation, the New York Times reported that many of the photos did not represent what the subtitles had claimed. One depicted nail heads in the apartment's door jamb rather than bullets.
Again, when the New York Times is in the right side of history, the US should know that the US government should know that they are doing something wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like literally, the New York Times is in the right side of history in this matter. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know how low the bar has to be for the New York fucking Times to be in the right side of history?
Bullet holes, and the other photo that police claim showed bullet marks outside of the door actually depicted them inside of the door. Hanramer's deceit further fueled community outrage, and even moderate national black and political leaders began to support the idea of a public investigation. The New York Times would state that the outpouring support for him in the wake of the Hampton and Clark assassinations by quoting one protester, they came in and killed Fred Hampton. And if they can do that to him, they can do that to any of us. In December 9, 1969, an internal Chicago police investigation found no fault in the part of Edward V. Hanramer's SPU unit, and their findings echoed the report of the Cook County coroner. In response to public pressure, the Justice Department appointed a federal grand jury to investigate the killings of Fred Hampton and Clark. On January 6, 1969, Bobby Rush informed press of the results of the blood test of Fred Hampton in an independent autopsy and revealed that he had a heavy dose of Sedanol, a drug used to induce sleep. Rush charged that Hampton had been killed as part of a government conspiracy, and Hampton had been drugged by an FBI infiltrator to help facilitate his murder. Hampton's fiancée, Deborah Johnson, who was 8 months pregnant at the time of Fred Hampton's killing and was arrested during the raid, later accounted Hampton's strange behavior on the night of the raid.
It's like, the US government is willing to do all of this bullshit just for one person. And somehow, people are out of their minds if they dare to say, you know, maybe 9/11, the US government. You know, JFK assassination, US government. You know, everything that they say about the DPRK, US government propaganda. But what do I know, right? What do I know?
Stating that Hampton never got up in bed during the raid and remained silent. He woke up and lifted his head slightly as guns were being fired, but barely moved or said anything. After the first wave of shooting, police arrested Johnson and pulled her out of the bedroom and into the kitchen. She said that she heard officers say that he's barely alive, but he'll make it. Then the police began shooting again, and the police said, well, he's good and dead now. On May 8, 1970, the state attorney Edward V. Hanramer dropped all charges against the 7 surviving Panther members arrested in the December 4th raid, stating that they had no proof that any defendants had fired at police. 1 week later, a federal grand jury.
Oh my god, Chan. Also, sorry, I'm saying Xinjiang. And that's like a city in Peru. I'm sorry, it's Xinjiang, but oh my god. I thought you actually watch like these gamers at the very least. Oh my god, Brian, don't even get me started with Rue, whatever. I literally subscribed to him for 2 months. One time. Do I regret it? No. Am I proud of it? No. Also, I literally tried to watch him twice and I couldn't. I literally just subscribed. But yeah.
Jury issued a 200
For a lot of channels. Oh, got it.
and 50-page report finding that at least 82 bullets have been fired by.
Oh yeah, the reason why I paused the video, I didn't even pause the video to talk about the emotes. I paused the video because I was going to say, so the Panthers were literally in jail for 2 years for no reason. Is that what I'm hearing? Or at least for a year? They were in jail for a year for no reason? What do you mean they dropped the charges? I mean, I guess they weren't necessarily in prison, but I don't know how the US system works. I feel like sometimes they do go to prison while they have charges, and other times they don't. So I feel like it's so fucking arbitrary. I mean, there's probably like some legal stuff that is specific and I just don't know, but like the cops literally do whatever the fuck they want. Like, do I really need to know law to know that the police is a corrupt fucking entity? You are in there forever until you get hurt. Isn't it like something around like 40 to 50% of the people in jail and prisons haven't even been convicted yet? Or something? Like, what do you mean almost half of the population in prison shouldn't even be there? They can be denied bail, which means they have to stay in jail during the legal process. But somehow we're too radical to be asking for the abolition of prisons.
The SPU officers and the.
I mean, of course, the prison industrial complex, right? But like, one would expect that the US wouldn't be so fucking overt about it, you know? One would expect they would at least like try to hide it a bit, you know? Not to make it too obvious. But no, it's all literally out in the open and no one fucking cares. Land of the free. With the freedom to go to fucking jail.
That only one shot had been fired by the Chicago Black Panthers.
And even then, out of the 100 shots, like that one shot, it's not like it came from the Panthers. That one shot, there is a possibility that it could have come from the Panthers. Like, it isn't even clear. Bye. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime. Like, that's the worst part. It's not even except as punishment for a crime, but except for being black and existing, and the police just arbitrarily deciding to send you to jail. Unless they kill you in the street, because that happens also. Why send him to jail when we can just kill him in the street? Super normal, not unhinged at all behavior. Yes. I just copied that from the wiki. Oh my god. I mean, yeah. He would have organized the jail. Honestly, I that is probably why they liberated him from jail. I mean, to be fair, in the movie, they say that the reason that they got him out of jail is because a lot of political people gain more notoriety while being in jail, and they didn't want Hampton to get even more notoriety, so they liberated him. But also, he totally would have. Also, I literally don't know how there aren't more like movements in jail. I feel like if I went to jail, I would literally be like, okay, so like, why are we here? We are literally more than they are. But they can kill us. Literally, half of the people here have life sentences. I'm pretty sure they don't care. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm a horrible person. Uh, I don't know. Just saying. I mean, I am aware that organizing a jail would be, super fucking difficult, and it would take like a lot of, but yeah. But also just logic, you know. That's a violence from the cops in jail or out wherever, like literally. Like everything is either bailed in prison, letters, phone calls. Oh yeah, that's another thing, right? Because like if you try to organize, they will fucking punish you. Yeah, that is fair. I don't know. I feel like I'm bisexual. I'll let your imagination run with that information. Look, everything for the people though. Uh, Reading material is restricted as well. Interesting. And they keep everyone divided in with gangs and orgs. I would literally be like, why are you like racist? That's like problematic. Not impossible, but really difficult. There's a pretty rich history of prison organizing actually. Look up Captive Nation by Dan Berger. Also, thank you for the first time chat, Socks and Busking. What is it? Captive Nation. Oh, Nation. In this path-breaking book, Dan Berger offers a bold reconsideration of 20th century black activism in prison, the prison system, and origin of mass incarceration. Interesting. Oh my god. Damn. I mean, only 17 reviews, and it's not like it matters, but still. Nice ratings. I'll keep it here next to my How to Hire an Empire. Goes to my list of books that I need to read, but probably won't, because this list is too long. But yeah. It's so exciting when it comes together. Read it in college, great book. This is also a solid book. That is also, yeah. I was recommended. I was watching. Oh, I was watching an interview in Breakthrough News about climate change, and the interviewee mentioned a speech by Daniel Immerwahr, and I looked the book up, and I was like, more books that I won't read. I used to help an organization that sent rain material, and I remember they cracked down a while back. Interesting. I also have a too long reading list, but I added it anyway. I mean, that is truly that is truly um leftism in the 21st century, having a list of books. And it's not like, and that's like wild to me, because like I know what there are people who complain about, oh, you are gatekeeping because you want people to read theory, but like when people are actually radicalized, they want to read theory. You know, like no one like I was encouraged to read by osmosis, basically. Like no one was like, oh, you have to read Lenin to be a real Marxist. I was like, Marxism, Leninism. Maybe I should read these two guys first. Or at least I should read these two guys, you know? And then I read Mao, and I was like, maybe I don't need Marx, and I just need to read Mao. But I still have like Marxist books in my list, you know? Like, I feel like Gotha Program is a good book because I've been recommended it. Like, I've heard it being quoted for so many reasons, and I'm like, okay, I'll read it eventually, you know. But yeah, I read German Ideology, another one that I need to read. But yeah, like every couple of months. Interesting. I heard Stalin distilled Marx and Lenin, so I started there. Interesting. Yeah, I started reading Socialism and Anarchism. Socialism or anarchism or socialism, and I was like, I literally got too excited when I ended the first chapter that I needed to stop reading it. I was like, I don't know how to explain it. I was too fucking excited to read it that I needed to stop reading it. I was literally screaming every time I finished a paragraph. Uh, um, Seaweed and I still need to print out Fanboy Mao and hang it on the wall for the landlord. Oh my god. Stalin deviated and distorted marks and angles quite a bit. Would not recommend starting with Stalin at all. I mean, I don't like what do you mean that Stalin deviated and distorted marks and angles? Because also, yeah, I didn't start with Stalin. I started with Mao. I mean, even then, I didn't even start with Mao. Like, like I received a lot of theory. I'm not telling you that. Yeah, no, it's okay. But in general, I'm just saying like, um, I like I don't recommend people start with with Stalin. Well, I recommend people start with Mao or Lenin. And like it is literally possible for anyone to think that Mao is difficult. It is literally impossible. But also, don't start it with combat liberalism. It's a punch in the gut. But yeah. Oh, okay. But yeah, so I don't know. Why not just start in the manifesto? I don't know. I've read them. I mean, it's weird because I read the manifesto. I literally read the manifesto a couple of months ago for the first time. And it just validated a lot of things that I already learned. So I was like, I felt like it was unnecessary, but also I had already learned a lot of things. And also, I feel like people people will be attracted to different things of ideology. So I feel like if people don't like economics, like me, for example, they won't get into Marx as easily. But for example, I love philosophy, and that's why Mao was so good for me because I started with On Contradiction, and I was like, "Give me, give me everything," you know. But yeah, isn't very economic at all. I don't know. I feel like it was. I mean, not really because it wasn't like heavy. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I would still recommend it as a first read, but I do feel it's a bit overrated. I don't know. But also, okay, to be fair, this is something that Johnny pointed out to me a couple of days ago. He literally told me, I mean, you are also a queer brown person from the global south. You have a lot less to learn than the average white person from the US. And I was like, you know what? That's fair. And so, yeah. It's a fun for me. Oh my god, yeah. Also, hi Tony, welcome. And it's not even that much heavy. I mean, yeah. Thank you for the shout out, Sam. Follow Subversive History. A rough draft, um, catechism, catechism, I don't know how to pronounce that. That came before Manifesto was so much better. Interesting. I already read. I have already. I have. I already have enough to read. Personally, I rather spend time with works building upon theory. Yes. Senator is wonderful. The manifestation in economic base, besides capital works, are really math heavy. Oh, interesting. That is fair. I mean, that's why I recommend, or at least I have been recommended a lot, critique of the gossip program for critique of social democracy. So I typically recommend that for people who are still like, skeptical of reform or revolution, but also I feel like it is also easier to just recommend reform or revolution by Rosa Luxemburg. You know what I mean? So yeah. But also I'm like questioning Rosa Luxemburg a lot because a couple of times I have heard anarchists say that Rosa was an anarchist. And I don't know, Wikipedia tells me that she was a Marxist. So I'm like, I highly doubt she was an anarchist. But also, to be fair, I've heard anarchists that told me that Mao was an anarchist. And I'm like, okay, you're just reaching, you know? So yeah. Socialism, utopian, scientific is awesome too. Isn't that literally Stalin? That is literally Stalin. Okay, whatever. But I've also spent a lot of time listening to those who have read the basics, so I've got some osmosis learning going for me. Yeah, same. She was a Marxist. Yeah, it's basic history. See, I was like, I feel like you're gaslighting me. Was fairly close to Lenin's position. Yeah, I've literally heard that Rosa was literally more radical than Lenin, and I was like, how are these people calling her an anarchist? I'm scared. Thanks that thanks. It's such a simple title. I can't remember it. Although she criticized him quite a bit. I mean, yeah, because she was too fucking big. I mean, I guess that is why anarchists try to claim her because she had critiques of people. Oh my god, how dare her? How dare she? Some solid critiques of anarchism, definitely not an anarchist. Interesting. There is some best quote of Lenin about Rosa, about Engels flying low, eagles flying low. I've never caught your stream. Oh, hi Morpheus, welcome. Yeah. How are you? I'm good. Uh, dealing with my it's dealing with the protests going on. Not like dealing as in I hate them, but I hate that I feel like they are not doing enough. Like they are not going to actually achieve anything, and that is so frustrating. But yeah, she had critiques of anarchism and socialism, as literally every prominent theorist at the time did. Like literally. Lane says she was wrong, 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 and wrong, but so what? As long as nobody tries to say Rosa was a thug, then look, oh my god. Stein was an anarchist, actually. Oh my god. I haven't seen people claim that. Um, Someone told me that there was a time where some people accused Lenin of being an anarchist for trying to build dual power structures. And to me, like, I get it, but also those people probably don't fucking understand socialism. Didn't probably understand socialism, so whatever. I still hate it enough for anarchists to claim him. You mean not to claim him or to claim him? Uh, yeah, so anarchists don't want him. Oh, okay, got it. I was like, what? But yeah. Okay, there are 2 minutes of the video. We can finish this.
After more than a decade, the legal case, which went all the way up to the Supreme Court, the government eventually settled in 1982, agreeing to pay $1.8 million to the estate of Hampton, Clark, and the surviving Black Panther members, with the federal, county, and city governments agreeing to
Okay. $1.8 million isn't enough, but also, is it 1.8 million for the Hampton state and all the Black Panthers that survived? Or was it just 1.8 million for the Hampton state and another non-disclosed amount of money for the Panthers that survived? Either way, 1.8 million is not enough. But if it's 1.8 million for everyone, that's fucked up. That's just fucked up. But yeah. The missing organizers too, I don't think so, because if they are missing, but also interesting, there were missing organizers. Scary shit. This is hurting my brain. Basically, Stalin is too heated in the mainstream for anarchists to want to claim him. I literally totally see in 20 years, if we haven't reached socialism, anarchists claiming Richard Wolff. And look, I wasn't even, I can't even say that it's not like Wolf is a Marxist, but he literally is a Marxist economist, self-described. Like, okay. He's everything anarchists despise. True. Also, once I heard, once an anarchist told me that Castro was a Sogdem. They were a white person. No one pays me enough to deal with white people.
split the Black Panther members, with the federal, county, and city governments agreeing to split the bill. Red Hampton was a revolutionary and a rising star in the Chicago Panthers, but this made him a target. Hampton's
Infantile disorder, indeed.
incredible charisma, his young, dynamic leadership, who started health clinics and the free breakfast program, as well as forming a rainbow coalition in the area. The outrage over the assassination of Fred Hampton, especially within Chicago,
Yes and no. Like, I don't know of any anarchist organizations in Peru. I have met an anarchist, but she wasn't being like overtly anarchist. So basically, I went to this like party, kinda, and there were like booths where independent artists sold their art, and she was one of those artists. And in their art, wait, I will bring it. Okay. This is her art, and it's basically just a cup and a raccoon, but also some of her designs had like black and red, which is anarchism. And I was like, oh my god, you're my new anarchist friend. And she was like taken aback because she didn't expect me to like clock her as an anarchist. And I was like, it's okay. I'm a communist. And yeah, but yeah. And no, we don't really have raccoons that I'm aware of. Um, but yeah, fine. But yeah, I mean, there will always be anarchists. There will always be people from different ideologies everywhere. Uh, but there are no anarchist organizations to my knowledge. You know? But yeah. Yeah, I spent so long with those kinds of anarchists who just don't like cops, bosses, and landlords. No theory anarchists. The thing is, like, I have never met two anarchists with the same theory. And even when I meet like groups of anarchists, I don't understand really their ideology. And that's where I'll leave it. But I respect anyone with any label who, has international solidarity, is anti-racist, but like for real, feminist, trans rights, like Stalin, or just kidding on the Stalin part, but like as long as you're not constantly talking shit about China in the USSR, you are fine in my book. So yeah. Also, respect indigenous people. Like, oh my god, the some pathos. Well, all pathos. Due to shit too long ago, too long to explain here, there is anarchism has appeared in some spaces in Santiago specifically. I mean, to be fair, that makes sense. Especially with Argentinian slash European influences and Santiago being the capital and centralism appear, and centralism being basically a feature of Spanish colonized places. Because centralism exists in Peru, exists in Argentina, exists in Mexico, exists to to a degree in Colombia, though they have managed to not centralize it too much, or rather, they have managed to decentralize Colombia a bit. Um, but yeah, from what I know, Chile has also a centralization problem. Uh, so yeah, it just makes sense. And also another thing that I've noticed is that, well, I won't talk about this, but like I'm just going to say that my anarchist friend had a lot of the vibes of like using poverty as an aesthetic when she was clearly not poor slash low working class, and yeah. I mean, to be fair, I just might be wrong, but she gave me those vibes, so yeah. You know, uh, I spent so long there confused because They really didn't talk about anything but that. Interesting. Anyone who comes for Cuba, oh my god, for real though. It blows my mind that there are some self-described Marxists that are anti-feminist. It's like feminism, like Stalin, Stalin, Stalin was literally a feminist. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Mao was a feminist. Thomas Sankara literally had feminist theory. Like, should I go like feminism is literally like the thing that every single revolution had in common. I mean, also anti-racism and like breaking down any sort of like race xenophobic racist xenophobic, but like feminism was like, you know feminism is literally the bare minimum. And the fact that for some reason these motherfuckers are like, oh, woman kitchen. Really? Really? It's a real mixed bag. For real. This is why I'm thinking about like making a video of like a Marxist analysis, like separate videos of a Marxist analysis of like gender, race, sexuality, and gender, but like one gender for like feminism and another gender for like trans rights. And it's like I shouldn't have to I shouldn't have to feel the need to have to make a video to put it out there, because like if these motherfuckers actually understood anything about like dialectical materialism or historical materialism, like no one would have to explain to them how feminism, gender liberation, anti-racism, like being in support of trans and or LGBTQIA plus rights, being in support of indigenous nations, and like all of these are like literally necessary for revolution. Do you know what I mean? Like, ah, white men, truly the death of our society. Re-education for the chauvinists, whether they're on our side or not. Yeah, and like I want to make it like so well argumented, and like for it to there be no fucking way for them to present any like argument against it, and for it to be able to be used as like the, how do you call it, like not gatekeeping, but like the basically the censor of like, I don't know. There's a word for it, but like basically, if they disagree with the video, it's like, oh, okay, you're there's no saving you, like. But yeah, I love to watch that stuff. Thank you. Yeah, I've been thinking for a while about it, but not arbiter. Also, hi, Arbit, welcome. Litmus test. Thank you. Yes. those videos to be like litmus tests, like if they disagree with the video, it's like, okay, there's no saving you. If they have like critiques, fine. I would personally still be like kind of sussy because again, I will try to make the video to a point where there is no argument against it. Like I will try to present like the context of why, for example, revolutionaries from the last century were anti-LGBT, or maybe they had weird comments about race, even though the only person that I know was kind of fucking racist was Trotsky, and I don't really plan to include him. So, yeah, but like, yeah, I don't know. A benchmark. No, no, yeah, it was litmus test, but yeah. Uh, but it will be a lot of fucking research. Like, it will take me time. And also, I don't want like ContraPoint production, but I want like good enough production that it won't be like jarring to watch. Yeah. And don't worry, I know how to do it, but still, it'll take time. Trotskyists in this day and age, oh my god, don't fucking get me started. Like work, but really useful. Yeah.
Chicago's black community.
And if you want to support that work, you can subscribe with $5 a month, or you can also give subs, your bits, or donate. Yes. Also, I tried to set up a Patreon, and I was too lazy to do it. Like yesterday, but I know I will eventually have to set up one. But yeah.
Calls for the removal of Cook County's state attorney Edward V. Hanrama, whose office managed the police involved in the raid. Before the raid, Hanrama had considered himself a likely candidate for Chicago mayor, but in 1972 he was voted out of office, and this effectively ended his political career. Also in 1972, Huey Newton closed all Black Panther offices outside of the city of Oakland, and the Black Panther Party was formally disbanded in 1982.
Wait.
In 1990, and again.
Well, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about like all the history of the Black Panthers themselves tomorrow, or rather on Monday. But I don't even want to know why they disbanded today. I'm going to cry.
In 2004, the Chicago City Council designated December 4th as Fred Hampton Day.
Oh, God.
This has been the life of Fred Hampton. If you like more stories like this, you can find those at onemichistory.com. Also, hit the subscribe button, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and if you like to support the podcast, you can do so at my Buy Me Coffee and my Patreon page, which you can find in the description below. And peace.
Girl. Also, Boop, how dare you not be in my Discord until today? Just kidding. It's okay. Oh, girl. Also, support drag queens, but not RuPaul. Thank you, bye. I thought you were already in my Discord. So the movie is tomorrow, and on Monday, I want to talk about the Black Panther's history as a whole. But yeah, like I'm not like really fond of like thematic months, like Black History Month and like Latina Heritage Month. Like they feel a bit um superficial, not superficial, but like performative. But regardless, I'm like, taking advantage that February is Black History Month, so I want to just concentrate on talking about the Black Panthers' work. and by the end of the month, I might want to read. I might want to talk about Bell Hooks and Angela Davis. Bell Hooks because yes, but I do also want to cover Angela Davis. I don't want to read Angela Davis. I want to like do like a PowerPoint like Subversive History does because Angela Davis has a lot of data that is useful. So I want to resume that and make it more palatable and like kind of give a resource that is of easy access for people so they don't have to like go to the book and like you know what I mean. But yeah. RuPaul is a he's not RuPaul is not even just a mean lib. He's a fucking transphobe. Like disgusting. Disgusting. But yeah, like don't support like if you are going to watch Drag Race for whatever the hell reason, I would never encourage this, but don't do it in the legal way. Like don't like if you can avoid giving him money, avoid giving him money. But yeah. We should learn about George Jackson. In some stream, I met Marx, Lenin, Trotsky, Lenin, and Mao when I entered prison and then redeemed me. I met Marx, Lenin, Trotsky, Engels, and Mao when I entered prison and they redeemed me. Oh, is George Jackson the guy who ran with Bernie, or rather that Bernie ran with in the 90s? Or I'm talking about another person. Don't worry. Okay, got it. It's okay. Don't scream at me. I know. I'm thinking about another person. Also, don't blame me. Like literally, Jackson was a Jesse Jackson. Jackson was literally so like when people were being brought, like when black people, well, African people were literally being brought as slaves to the U.S. Like, not even that. Like when the U.S. started giving names to people, either they were immigrants or slaves. Well, some slaves received the last name of their owner, and others like had to receive a random one, and that random one was one of the common ones that they would receive was Jackson. So Jackson, like, it is not a coincidence that it is a common last name in the black community. So yeah, fine. But yeah, we're not gonna scream at you. It's okay. Yeah, cause like Michael Brooks had a Michael Brooks had a had like a series of like illicit history. Had a series called Illicit History, and he talked about different revolutionaries or like left-wing leaders across the world, and he talked about Jesse Jackson, and that's how I learned about Jesse Jackson. And he also introduced me to Sankara. Well, technically, JT from Second Thought introduced me to Sankara. And one day I mentioned Sankara on a stream, and someone redirected me to Illicit History. and through his history, I learned about Jesse Jackson. But yeah, like, I'm literally going to cry. I don't know why. I just love Sankara. Okay. Like JT mentioned Sankara and what was the other leader? It wasn't the Kruma Nyerere. I feel like that was horribly pronounced. Um, was it the Ghana leader? It wasn't the Ghana leader. And no, it's the Kruma. It wasn't the Ghana. African social. Nyerere. Julius Nyerere. Yeah, like JT literally mentioned, like, passing. In passing, like Nyerere and Sankara, and I was like, I'll look them up, and I looked them up, and yeah. But like, sorry, like, Sankara makes me like especially emotional because, like, learning about how he literally was like building the rails for the wagons and the trains in Burkina Faso with the people, like, and people still have the fucking caucasity to shit on Marxism Leninism as an ideology one, but Marxist Leninists around the fucking world, and I'm like, you motherfucking piece of shit, you better shut the fuck up, or I'll fucking play with you in Minecraft. But yeah. Don't even get me started with that. Because when when you talk about like Sankara dying, you are not even talking about just Sankara. You are talking about like every motherfucking socialist or left-leaning African leader that had the audacity, that dared to talk about, like, you know what, African nations, we should unite. And a year later, death. And I'm like, every single motherfucking time. Every single motherfucking time. Like, literally, this fucking century happened. Okay. God, I fucking hate the US. Okay. Why do I have this open? I'll save this. George Jackson. Oh, we should talk about George Jackson. Yes. Oh, he was a Black Panther also. Got it. Was he? Co-founder of the prison gang Black Guerrilla Family. Interesting. Okay, I'll look him up later. I'm literally crying. I hate everything. Okay, join the Discord if you haven't, because we'll be watching Judas and the Black Messiah tomorrow. Also, after the movie, I want to go over this video I'll probably do it in the same Discord. Um, like after we watch the movie. If not, I will like stream and go over it on stream. But I don't know. I'll see how we deal with it later. Uh, but yeah, because like I watched Judas and the Black Messiah as I mentioned yesterday when I was starting my tanky journey, and so it helped me like define a lot of my ideology. So yeah. We're trying to organize entire continent. They gotta go. Literally. Sadly, there's always some turncoat whose soul is for sale. Yep. Ask a white chauvinist anything about Pan-Africanism and they will melt. True. I mean, like... The... I'm so confused. Uh... I'm looking who to rate, and a couple of days ago, I don't remember when or how I was recommended this streamer, so we're going to rate this channel. Really? I literally put like heavy metal, hard rock background music. I'm sorry, Sam. I literally have no idea. I just remember that yesterday, there was like a we were in Subversive Histories channel, and I thought it was just fun to have like rock background music. So yeah. So if you're subscribed, you can copy and paste the first message. If you're not subscribed, you can copy the second message. Want to play anything after stream? I am down to play Fortnite. Oh no, I cannot play Fortnite because it's too late. I'm sorry, I've been offended. Actually, I don't know. I'll hit you up. Be sure to click the profile picture twice to make your view count over there. I'm getting scared. Take care, everyone. Thank you, March. I love you all. See you tomorrow on the Discord or on stream. I'll figure out things. But yeah. Bye. Rogue